All right, hey guys. So last week I finally had the opportunity to play in a GOATformat.com tournament. I played in the Patreon World Championship qualifier number 16. Up until this point, I really have not had time to play in a GOAT format tournament with this deck. So I was really excited to finally test it out. Full disclosure, I did go 1-2, which is a pretty not good record. Um, but I did lose all of the rock paper scissors, and I do feel like I got pretty sacked in a couple of games, which you'll see shortly. That being said, all of the gameplay was pretty good. I thought the matches were interesting, and I want to share that with you guys today. Specifically, I'm going to be highlighting Sinister Serpent. It really did overperform in the tournament, and I'm excited to show you that. I feel like these days a lot of decks are playing, multiple Solemn Judgments, which this deck can really struggle with, especially if you're playing a more turbo or glass build version. And then since, if you're going to lose the rock, paper, scissors and your opponent's going first and setting Solemn Judgments, you can really struggle with that. So if you build it in, a more glass cannon way, this deck can, just straight up lose to Judgment. And the inclusion of Serpent makes the deck a little bit more resilient and more robust, such that you can make multiple pushes if you need to. I think if you're not playing it, you'll find yourself in situations where you have Monster Gates and maybe Metamorphosis with no target to use with. So with that, let's jump right into the matches. First match is against Lucas the Heretic. Lucas, he is playing Warriors, I believe. I open Pot of Greed, feels really good, but he's going first. He does a classic normal summon set 4, puts back my BLS with Trap Does Shoot. I Giant Trunade to make sure that this Pot of Greed goes through and that the Snatch Steal will go through. And then main phase 2 Tribute for Monster Gate, get Sinister Serpent online, baby. I make a weird play. I proactively make Thousand Eyes. Let's pause right here. I proactively make Thousand Eyes because I'm up in field advantage in terms of monsters, and the only way for him to get rid of this, since I bounced all of his traps, is to, I guess he has one right here, but if he wants to judgment this, then be my guest. uh, the only way for him to get rid of this is to use Exiled Force, and if he wants to normal summon and waste his Exiled Force and not have any monsters on the field after just to get rid of this, I'm totally fine by that. And it also puts me closer to having Dark and Light in the Grave for the Chaos Dimfuse play. So that's why I proactively make this. If he summons anything other than Exiled Force, then I'm just going to take it. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm reasoning he gets it wrong. I have Jinzo. I can't attack with it, unfortunately, but he goes a little aggro right here and Exiled forces my Thousand Eyes, which is interesting, but he has a Snatch Steal follow-up play, which is why I did that. Not gonna lie, this is a little bit sacky. I did top deck a Heavy Storm and go pretty plus, getting my Jinzo back and putting me in a pretty good spot. Here, I just attack over his monster. He does have a BLS follow play, which is pretty nice. I put a Dark in his grave, unfortunately. Next turn, I do try to Monster Reincarnation my Thousand Eyes, which I wasn't sure was legal play, but we got a ruling check and it is legal. I did that so that I could summon my Chaos Sorcerer by putting BLS in the grave, and luckily the Chaos Sorcerer actually sticks on the board, which I was surprised about. He outs it. I'm holding on right here. I do top deck a Lightning Vortex, which feels pretty good, and but the thing is, right there, that he had two cards and he either top decked the Breaker or the Premature Burial. And that gave him game, right? If he didn't have that second monster that he could have put on board, I would have still been in the game. Okay, game 2. Start off with Reasoning. He gets it right. I only get to mill one card, and it's just a Crane, which really sucks. He puts King Tiger Wango on the board, which is good for getting rid of my scapegoats, but I have a Decree in his end phase, followed up with Air Knight, and this is a pretty nasty combo. I drop the swords in case he has a Snatch Steal again, and then also, if he gets rid of my Decree, I still have the backup with that. He can probably only get rid of one unless he's going to Heavy Storm his own back row, or unless this is a Heavy Storm. So he breakers the Decree. He must have some traps that he wants to use. I pre-mat back Crane, getting a draw off that, and make a really nasty play. I use Trunade to bounce back the pre-mat and the swords and his back row. So this I kind of thought that he might have a Sakuretsu back there, which is why he probably felt okay with leaving this breaker on the board. And it turns out it was Sakuretsu armor. So this Trunade was really great value. It puts back his Sakuretsu so I can attack again with Air Knight. It lets me reuse pre-met and lets me reset the clock on swords. So I'm in a pretty good spot after that. Get another draw, get in some damage, and reactivate the swords. And he's got no cards on the board. So I try to get there again. He uses his Sakuretsu though. I leave the crane. I don't crash it because I don't see a reason to. Next turn I tribute for Jinzo and use pre-mat to bring back Air Knight. Get rid of both his monsters and get another draw off swords and shut off his traps. And he can't even attack me. So he can't use things like DD Warrior Lady. He exiles my Jinzo, but I have a follow-up play here. So I call no priority on the Blackluster because I'm about to dim fuse this back, which would bring this back. Sorry, I'm about to dim fuse, which would bring back his monster anyway. Right now, if he wants to activate Torrential, it's unfortunate, but I have a double dim fuse follow-up play. I can bring back both Jinzo and Sacred Crane, get a draw and get in there for 4,000. If he wants to Solemn Judgment this dim fusion, then he's already in kill range right there, and I have a follow-up dim fusion, so Torrential would probably be the worst outcome here, but puts me still in a pretty good spot. He would only have 2 cards left, and I would have quite a few. But the dim fuse does go through, and that is game 2. Now for game 3. So he opens a duo, but look at this. I open Sinister Serpent, right? This is one of the main reasons this is in the deck for. So God bless Sinister Serpent. He gets Reasoning Wrong, and I have Jinzo. Yep, there you go. Sinister Serpent, making both of these cards live. Look, these cards would both be dead in my hand. Or, sorry, Monster Gate would not be dead, but I would have to tribute my own Jinzo, right? So, yeah, get in there with Air Knight Jinzo, a little Deja Vu action. I attacked specifically with Air Knight because I thought it might be a DD Warrior Lady, and I want my Jinzo to stick on the field. Get my Sinister Serpent back. Try to Reasoning again. He gets it right again, but I can still get in there for 24. I set the Serpent so that maybe if it lives, I can sack for Demok next turn. Unfortunately, he gets rid of it. So this is the biggest misplay I made. I take his monster and don't attack with it for some reason. I'm not really sure why. I think I just like muscle memory got afraid of the 4 background, assumed there was Sakuretsu there, which there is. But I have Jinzo, so he can't activate it. So really don't know why I didn't attack with this. It wouldn't have been game anyway, but I definitely should have attacked with it. Okay, so what he does is he books my Jinzo, but he can't attack. But he's just trying to do that to turn on his traps. So next turn, I set the Sinister Serpent. I'm going to play this slow. I feel no need to go super aggro right here. I don't want to attack because I know he definitely has traps that he wants to use on my Thousand Eyes. And I'm just going to use swords and set the Serpent so that I can summon Demok next turn. So that's exactly what I do. I summon Demok right here. I'm targeting Heavy Storm. If he Solemn Judgments this, then he's pretty low. I'm just going to flip over my Jinzo the next turn and summon and then use Dimension Fusion and go for game. If he Torrentials this, that's fine because I have double Dimension Fusion follow play. So I'm in a really good spot right here. So he does Torrential it. Yeah, he does Torrential it. I couldn't flip the Jinzo because there was a Thousand Eyes on the field, so that's that. And my plan was if this went through and stuck on the board, I would just flip my Jinzo. Sorry, if the Jinzo stuck on the board, I would flip it and then just Heavy Storm him. But he does use Torrential, which is fine. I still get the Heavy Storm, which I use, and then follow up with Dimension Fusion for game. Okay, so that was the first match. I thought it was pretty good. I got to use Dimension Fusion quite a couple times, and Serpent also put in some work there. Moving on to the second match against Yada 88. Yada. Yep. So, like I said, I lose the rock, paper, scissors again. So I'm going second. Have no idea what he's playing. I get an Air Knight, but I attack into Dekoichi, so I'm thinking he's probably playing Chaos at this point. I set a True Native's bluff, and he just proceeds to absolutely demolish me. he kind of sacks me. Like, he opened up /True into Pot of Greed, Heavy Storm, Graceful Charity. Amazing hand. Just straight up amazing hand. and turns out he's playing some sort of OTK Mataza the Zapper, maybe Benkei OTK. Not really sure because I didn't see Benkei, but sorry, that went by really fast. But basically, he took my Air Knight, so I have no monsters on the field, and he summoned double Mataza, equipped them with a whole bunch of equipped spells, and just OTK'd me right there. It's like over 10,000 damage. So game 2, I put in like Swords of Revealing Light, Threatening Roar, because I see he's playing some sort of OTK deck. I don't open any of those, unfortunately. I set the Crane because I think he probably took out Nauk if he's playing it. I preemptively try to take his face down with Thousand Eyes because 1, I get to take it, and then 2, he can't attack, which is the whole point of his deck. And now I'm just going to build up my resources. I tribute it for Jinzo. Try to get in here for 4,000. Why did not? Oh, I did get there for 4,000, but I upstarted. So he tries to attack with a 20. Sorry, this is 15. 2,800 attack Mataza the Zapper. So that goes through. He's trying to attack twice. He's smart. He attacks the Crane first and leaves the Jins on the field. So if I have any traps, which I do, I won't be able to activate them. So that was a smart play on his part. He clears both my cards. I Reasoning. He guesses 8. I get the Air Knight correctly and ring his Mataza, dealing 2,800 to both of us, and try to go in there for game. He has Torrential Tribute. Pretty nice. Summons Mataza. 2,300, so he's going in there for 46. So that would be in game, but I have Scapegoat, luckily. I'll block 2 of those attacks because this is going to attack twice. And then Monster Gate on my turn for D-Mock. Let's go. I get Heavy Storm back, thinking that I can maybe go for game right here by Heavy Storming and then summoning Chaos Sorcerer, but he has Waboku. Nice play. I main phase 2, Chaos Sorcerer, banish this. So I'm pretty ahead right now. I put this in attack mode because he's probably playing Ninja Grandmaster Sasuke, so that's that. And he doesn't draw anything. He's playing a combo deck, so odds are he probably had some dead cards, maybe some equipped cards with no monsters or vice versa. But this is game 3. Not a bad opening hand, to be honest. I knock his face down, try to get in there for 14. Main phase 2, I Monster Gate. Oh, he Solemn Judgments that. That's a really good play. Yeah, wow, really good play. Now he's just gonna beat me down with this gorilla. Yeah, this is pretty bad for me. Luckily, I do get a Torrential off right here, but he's got just beat. Yeah. This is a good way to play against his deck. His deck is already pretty aggro, but he just went full on beast down aggro and just beat me before I could get anything. Unfortunately, I didn't open any Scapegoats or anything like that. And that Solemn Judgment play early on was really good on his part. So that was the second match. Honestly, I got destroyed right there, not gonna lie, but that was a pretty cool deck. And then finally, the last match is against JD or JDZ, which is one of my friends. So let's get right into that one. Okay, so now I'm 1-1. I need to win this if I want to top, but let's see how this goes. So he opens. Okay, okay. This is JD. If you're watching this, like we've already talked about this offline a couple times, but yeah, he sacked me pretty hard. Opening Delinquent Duo, Pot of Greed feels really good. And okay, sorry. Opening Delinquent Duo, Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity. So he opens the Trinity first turn, and he's going first. I lost to Rock, Paper, Scissors, so I get sacked pretty hard right here. Look how many cards are... He hasn't discarded yet, but I've got 3 cards in my hand. It's just kind of ridiculous. Okay, so I got 3 cards. I got 4 cards to play with. He normal summons 1, sets 4. I'm in a pretty hard spot right here. But luckily I had the Heavy Storm to bait out the Solemn Judgment. I use Reasoning. Let's see. I think he calls 6 for Jinzo. And I end up hitting... What do I hit? I hit Sinister Serpent. So I hit Sinister Serpent pretty good. And I have a Snatch Steal follow play. And now I'm going to try to get in there for 36. So he takes the Blade Knight. But he has a Call the Haunted to summon Kaiku to block the Crane. Now during his turn, he is going to Snatch Steal his own Blade Knight back, so we have a little swappy action going here. Gets rid of my... Okay, so here he made a misplay. He should have attacked the Serpent first to get it in the grave so that he could attack with Kaiku second and banish it, but he just makes a misplay right here. So I'm in a pretty bad spot right here. You can see I have no cards on the field. I'm going to gain some life points from this, but I have no cards, and I'm just top decking right now. And so I gain 1,000, get Sinister Serpent back, set it. Now we're just trading life points with Snatch Steal. And I have Scapegoat to block, so my Sinister Serpent doesn't get removed. And that actually ends up being a big deal because look what I top deck. Oh, sorry, wrong game. I don't top deck anything good. I'm just trying to wall up right now and gain life points and slowly get back into the game. So he knocks. Okay, luckily I top deck Pot of Greed like a champion. Okay, this was the... So... I was really hoping right here that I would top deck a Jinzo. So my thought process here by setting this Sinister Serpent was if he banishes it, then I could Dim Fuse it back. And if I top deck a Jinzo, I mean, you can't really call this a game plan, but I was hoping I would top deck a Jinzo so that I could bring this back and then tribute it for Jinzo. I top deck a Pot of Greed, which drew me into Jinzo. So that's what I do. I tribute it for Jinzo. It sticks. I choose to leave the one with Call the Haunted, in case later on I could, get rid of the Call the Haunted, and therefore his Kaiku will die as well. And I leave the Snatch Steal attached, so that I'm getting life points back, and I leave it there in case I want to Giant Trunade my own Snatch Steal back, in case I need to go for game later on. But, yeah, so the Jinzo hits the board, and it lands. Let's see what he does here. He's crashing his own Blade Knight into the Jinzo, presumably to summon a Chaos Monster. Yep, summoning Chaos Sorcerer. And look at this. Look at this. I top deck Metamorphosis, which would be dead, but your boy Sinister Serpent coming back. And I have the Giant Trunade play, so this is going to be pretty nasty. I Giant Trunade. He gets his Call the Haunted back, but the Kaiku does die in the process. And then I steal his Chaos Sorcerer and get in there for 23. So Sinister Serpent putting in some work. He Heavy Storms just so I can't kill him, which is fine. Okay, banishes my Thousand Eyes. I Reasoning, hit an Air Knight, try to get in there for some damage and a draw. And then main phase 2, I think I can summon Chaos Sorcerer if I want to. But let's see here. Okay, so I hit a Sacred Crane off of Reasoning, pretty good. Right now I'm thinking, like, do I just summon the Chaos Sorcerer, banish this? Do I tribute these for Demok? What do I do here? I do tribute them for Demok, and I get back Heavy Storm proactively, so I can blow up his whole field. And now I'm finally winning this game, or in a better position. Yeah, so right here, I specifically attack with Demok instead of this. If I attack with this, I do have the chance to go in there for game, but I think that his set is probably going to be a DD Warrior Lady or Donzalug, and this only has 1400 attack, so luckily I attack with the Demok first. But I'm just playing a little bit smart, or trying to anyway, and I end up winning. So this just goes to show you that, your opponent can open the full Trinity, and you could still play through that. Like, you just saw that. I made a comeback. So for people who are saying that, Pot of Greed and Graceful Charity, like, they are sacky for sure. And Duo, I know it's a really hated card, but I just want to show you that you can play through it like I just did. Granted, he did make a misplay by not banishing the Sinister Serpent with Kaiku. Okay, so game two. Game two, let's see what happens here. I try to get a huge Torrential off. That would have been so good, but he has the Solemn Judgment to stop that, which is unfortunate. If that landed, I would be in a really good spot. Unfortunately, it doesn't, and he gets in there for a lot of damage. So he's got 4 monsters, 3 back row. I have Brain Control in here. My plan is probably to take his Kaiku, and probably take his Kaiku, attack a monster, and monster gate it. It does land. Oh, interesting. I preemptively monster gate it. I think right here, since I have the double monster gate plus Metamorphosis, I'm thinking I could Oh yeah, okay. So I can't really risk this dying. I can't risk one of these traps getting rid of the Kaiku because I need it for Monster Gate. So I preemptively do that, or proactively do that rather. Preemptively, proactively. Um, okay, so I make a weird play here. I have 3 dead Chaos Monsters in my hand. Um, so and no setup. So I'm in a really pretty tricky spot. Um, I make a weird play and make out Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, which is basically telegraphing to him that I'm trying to summon a Chaos Monster. Um, so he plays accordingly. I Monster Gate that. Um, and I draw another Chaos Monster, which is just crazy. I have all the Chaos Monsters, and he makes the right play here and uses Call the Haunted on Kaiku. I pretty much telegraphed I was trying to summon a Chaos Monster, and he made a pretty heads up play right there. So that shuts me out for the game, and I'm just going to lose from there. Okay, and then finally, game 3. Okie dokes. A little bit laggy right here, but open double upstart. Opening hand is not bad at all. I get the Sinister Serpent online right away. I leave the air. Okay, so right here. Whenever I leave an Air Knight on the board or proactively summon Air Knight, I'm always assuming that my opponent has Snatch Steal and accounting for that, which I do have by the I do have the contingency plan with the Heavy Storm. So I attributed the Sinister to get it in the grave, so I get it back next turn since I have Metamorphosis, and I have the Heavy Storm follow-up play, but I get sacked. He opens Graceful. Okay, Upstart. Snatch Steal. So he has a Snatch Steal. Great. And then he top decks. I think he must have top decked this off of the Air Knight. Maybe he didn't, but like, why wouldn't you use this right away if he had it in his opening hand? So I think he just top decked that Delinquent Duo off this Air Knight draw, which is really unfortunate because he hits my Heavy Storm. So yeah, it is what it is, but yeah, hate to see it. But that puts me in a pretty tough spot. Luckily, I have a Metamorphosis Sinister Serpent follow-up play. Right here, I'm thinking about whether to take his Air Knight or the Face Down. I could take the Face Down and try to just gain a lot of life points off of Snatch Steal. But if he has a way to get rid of the Thousand Eyes, like with Exiled Force, since he's playing Warriors, and he gets rid of it and still has the Air Knight on the board, that's going to be really bad for me because I can't even block the attacks because I have Scapegoat. I was kind of afraid that this might be, a Magician of Faith, and then he gets back, some of these power spells, which is why I ended up not attacking it. Or, sorry, I thought this was either a Magician of Faith or Gravekeeper Spy, which is why I don't want to attack it because he won't be able to flip it up if it's a Faith. And if it's a Spy, then I'm just going to take 100 damage and he's going to get another one. So I make the decision not to attack. Also, he has a back row, which ends up being a battle trap anyway. So I decided to not attack and just leave this on the board. And that ends up being a good play because it actually was a spy, first of all. And then he does have the Exiled Force. So it was a pretty heads up play. He summons another spy. I'm in a pretty bad spot. I take one, but block the second. And I try to attack one. Okay, it goes through, and the main phase 2, I got the swords for some protection. Now I'm just trying to build up resources. He pops my swords, and now he starts clearing my monsters. I got a Snatch Steal, so I'm trying to attack this and start banishing some of his cards to prevent him from summoning Chaos Monsters. But he has the Mirror Force that he plays. Main phase 2, I summon Chaos Sork. Now that I got the Kaiku off the field. And I'm thinking about which one of these to banish. If I banish this, it's going to come back with Dimension Fusion to be a 2000 wall. So I think I banish the Breaker instead. But yeah, I banished the Breaker. Okay, so he has the pre-mat for the Exiled Force. Pretty nice. Yeah, let's see what goes on here. So he pops my Sork, gets rid of all my stuff. Sinister, I try to attack over that. He Mirror Forces that. Now right here, main phase 2, I can try to Dimension Fusion and get a draw off the Crane, but then he's going to have 3 monsters on the board, and then if I don't draw anything good, he's going to win. Alternatively, I can set the Sinister Serpent, hope he doesn't really have anything, but if he has a monster with like 1900 or more attack, then he could put 5900, sorry, 4900 damage on the board. Uh, Wait, 49, 38. Hmm. Uh, what happens here? So I can summon the crane, or I can try to set the Sinister Serpent and go for Dimension Fusion play next turn. But let's see what I end up doing here. Um, oh no, I'm sorry about that. I already normal summoned this turn. I already normal summoned the Fusilier. So I can try to Dimension Fusion, but I mean, I need to top deck something good, like Lightning Vortex. Otherwise, I'm just going to lose next turn. And the only way that he can make this Dimension Fusion not live anymore is if he has a monster that has 1900 more attack, because he could put 4900 damage on the board, which would put me at 2000 life, so not enough for Dim Fusion. And that means that the only monster that he can summon to make that happen is Blade Knight, which he already has one of them in the grave and one reinforcements in the grave. If he puts down any other monster besides Blade Knight at this point in time, and I suppose a Chaos monster, then I have a live Dimension Fusion next turn anyway. But he does have the Rhoda for the Blade Knight and gets in there for 49, like I said, sorry, 5,000. So my Dimension Fusion is dead. Luckily, I do top deck a Monster Gate. Look at this again, another instance of Sinister Serpent putting in work. But, and actually, I already have Fusilier there, and I have Air Knight and Crane here. So the only things left in my deck are another Crane, a Jinzo, and a Demok. So if this went through, then, I'm still in the game. But he does have the Solemn Judgment to stop that. So that puts an end to my tournament experience. Overall, I thought that was still a pretty good match. I thought it was pretty exciting. But yeah, so that's how it panned out. I'm still really glad that I had a chance to play this deck in a competitive setting, and I'm looking forward to, wow, lagging pretty hard right here, and I'm looking forward to playing it again. I've learned a few things from that experience, but I hope that watching this gameplay was informative for you guys. So thanks for watching.